Compensation management is the discipline of establishing, formulating, and implementing good compensation policies and practices. Compensation is a term that refers to the act of balancing. It is the reward given to an employee in exchange for their services or contribution to the organization in human resource management. It comprises both monetary and non monetary benefits. Through this video, you will learn about the importance, principle, and types of compensation in human resource management. You will also learn about executive compensation basics and compensation management challenges. So if you feel the need to dig deeper and know more about it, stay right where you are as we are going to bring you all the information you need right on your screens. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any query or suggestions and I will respond to your comments.
Hello, my name is Shantanu Rana and today I am going to teach you this course on compensation management by Great Learning. Before we actually start with this course, you should know that this is actually a part of human resource management. Whenever you talk about any organization, there are so many departments in that. There is accounts department, there is finance department, there is marketing team. Similarly, there is human resource department as well. Their main work is to manage the people or the human resources of the organization. And compensation management is a very important function of human resource management. So it is not just about salary. So there's this myth that whenever we talk about compensation or compensation management, a lot of people think that it is only about the salary part, whatever you get to compensate for the work that you are doing for the organization. But it is not just limited to that, especially in today's world when things are changing. It also includes your leaves, your maternity leaves, your paternity leaves, along with that, whatever compensatory offs you are getting, whatever insurance you are getting, whatever benefits you are getting, be it monetary or be it non-monetary. All of that is included in compensation management. So there are two parts of it. One is direct compensation, which is generally the monetary part, and there is this indirect compensation as well, which is mostly the non-monetary part or the benefits part. Now, in this particular course, which is a beginner-friendly course, we will be seeing all the parts, all the components of compensation management in detail. So let's not waste any time and directly have a look at the agenda first. So as you can see on the screen, these are some of the topics that we will be discussing in this particular course. We will start with what is compensation management, where I'll be giving you the definition of compensation and compensation management, then objectives and principles of compensation management in HRM. So you should understand that whatever we are learning in this particular course, that will be from the perspective of human resource management. So we'll be seeing the principles as well as the objectives and benefits of compensation management. Why do we need to manage things when we are talking about compensation in the HR department? Then why is compensation management important? The importance of it, then types of compensation in HR management, then what is a compensation plan? Why this planning is important? Why do we need to plot and plan everything whenever we are talking about compensation? Why is it a difficult task in general? Then compensation management process, challenges of compensation management, whatever current trends are there, that is also something we will be discussing here. And then finally, at the end of this course, we will be learning about executive compensation. So I'll be giving you the definition of executive compensation and I'll be telling you how exactly it is different from your regular compensation. So all these topics we are going to cover in this particular course one by one. All right. Now let's have a look at the definition of compensation and compensation management. So we'll be understanding in detail here what exactly is compensation management. So as you can see on the screen, the actual meaning of compensation is to counterbalance, which means to compensate. In HRM, compensation is the remuneration given to an employee in exchange for their services or contributions to the company. It includes both traditional salary and non-cash incentives. So whenever you talk about the human resource department, they are the ones who are actually responsible for compensation management. Now, you talk about any organization. There is always some vision, some mission, some objectives of the organization that the human resources or the employees of the organization are supposed to meet. They are supposed to accomplish those goals, those organizational goals. So, in order to make sure that it is balanced from both the side, from the organization side as well as from the employees side, we have to give them something as well in order to counterbalance whatever work they are doing, whatever work is done by the employees or by the human resources of the organization. Some monetary and non-monetary benefits are given to them in order to make sure that everything is counterbalanced and it is compensated. And that is actually the origin of the word compensation as well. So it simply means giving salary or any other non maybe variable salary or fixed salary or any other non-cash incentives to the organizational employees who are working towards meeting the goals, objectives, vision, or mission of the organization. Now, definition of compensation management in human resource management. Let me tell you about that as well. So, compensation management is the discipline for the establishment, formulation, and implementation. These are the three important words for the establishment, that is, establishing the sound policies and whatever practices are there for employee compensation. It can again depend upon the country. If you are talking about India, the rules, regulation, laws about compensation will be a little different. But if you go to some other country, the rules may be a little different. So it is about the labor laws, understanding those laws, and then making the sound policies and practices in order to make sure that the employees' needs are met, and at the same time, the budgeting of the organization is also not getting disturbed. So compensation management is the discipline for the establishment, formulation, and implementation of sound and solid policies and practices of employee compensation. It is also known as remuneration management or salary administration. Compensation management is the more famous word, but in certain countries, such as in US, a lot of people use the term remuneration management or salary administration is also the same. It is all about providing employees something so that their needs are met. And at the same time, we are not disturbing the budgeting or the finances of the organization as well. It's like a give and take policy to counterbalance, to compensate for the work of the employees. So that's what compensation management is all about. Now let's try to understand that what are the different components of compensation management. So there are three components that I have mentioned over here. As you can see in this little diagram as well, that there is pay for person, then there is pay for position, and there is pay for performance. So on these three bases, these are the main components of compensation management. When we say pay for person, it is based on skills and knowledge of the employee. Whatever qualification you have, whatever knowledge based or practice or personality traits that you have, which are making you unique in the organization, the company will be paying you for that. Then some part will be for pay for position, which will be based on your job duties and seniority, the roles and responsibilities, the job duties that you have within the organization. Then pay for performance, it can be based on individual performance, it can be based on group performance, or sometimes it can be based upon the organizational performance as well. So these are the three main components of compensation management. Now, what are the current trends in compensation management? So generally, when we talk about compensation management, a lot of people just think about the salary part, but that is just one part of it. There are so many other components, other parts in compensation management as well, especially in today's world. So bonuses, overtime pay, your compensatory offs, sales commission, insurance benefits, travel expenses, club memberships, childcare assistance, maternity leaves, any other leaves that you are taking. There's some casual leaves are there in certain organizations, some earned leaves are there, some paternity leaves are there. All these things are nothing but part of compensation management. And managing all these things, formulating plans in order to make sure that each and everything is efficient and effective from the perspective of compensation is nothing but your compensation management. All these things we will be discussing in this particular course in much more detail in the upcoming modules. All right. So now that you have understood what exactly is compensation management and what are the different components of compensation management, it is time for you to understand about the objectives of compensation management. So as you can see on the screen, there are a few points that I have mentioned which are nothing but the objectives of compensation management. Point number one is acquiring qualified personnel. Compensation must be competitive in order to attract candidates. So, if you want to attract good candidates in your organization, you want qualified people, you have to make sure that as per the industry standards, you are going above and beyond. To attract the crowd, to attract the qualified candidates, it is one very important tool. To acquire those candidates, you can definitely show them that we are giving more monetary benefits than the other organizations. And that can definitely be one motivation for the employees who are going to work in your organization. Then retaining current employees. Employees may leave when remuneration levels are not competitive. So you have to make sure that either you are meeting the industry standards or you are going beyond that. That will definitely make sure that there is good retention of employees in your organization. Whenever you talk about any organization, it is not just about hiring the new people. It is also about retaining the existing people because they are already trained. So we already need people, we always need people who are already trained in whatever they are doing. So it is very, very important. Just like we need to hire new people, we also need to retain the people who are already working within the organization. For that, compensation is a very, very good tool. Why? Because if you are going to give them a competitive salary, not just in terms of monetary benefits, but also in terms of benefits, whatever work life balance they are getting, whatever leaves they are getting, are they getting any special allowances? Let's say for their mobile phones, for their internet, are they going to get any reimbursement? Anything. All these things are nothing but part of your compensation management. So you have to make sure that as per the standard norms of your industry, in which sector, whatever sector the organization is there, you have to make sure that either you are meeting the industry standards or you are going beyond that. That will definitely attract the new crowd, and as well as make sure that the current crowd which is already there in your organization will be motivated and will be engaged. Then ensuring equity. Employee compensation must be fair in order to retain and motivate the human resources. Just assume the two people who are working for the same position and who are equally qualified. If we won't pay them equally, definitely, if they discuss it with each other, it can be a huge problem. And there can be a conflict from the employee sides with the HR department. And that is something we will never want if we are working towards the organizational goals by being a team. So we have to make sure that each and everything is managed in such a way that all the people are paid equally based upon their qualifications, based upon their performance, and based upon their job duties and responsibilities. So that is also something which is ensured by compensation management, and it is most definitely one of the most important objectives of compensation management. Then controlling costs. Worker can be overpaid or underpaid without proper compensation management. If we won't manage each and everything when we talk about compensation, definitely we will never be able to understand the performance that one person is showing, that one employee is showing, and whatever duties they are doing. And if we won't evaluate the job duties, job responsibilities, we will never be able to figure out what exactly should be the compensation, should be the monetary or non-monetary benefit for a particular person. So in order to ensure that we are controlling the costs and we are not overpaying anyone or underpaying anyone within the organization, we should have a proper compensation plan. So that is also one of the objectives of compensation management. Then compliance with legal regulations. Compliance with rules and regulations is important to be legally acceptable. There are some rules, especially let's say you talk about in the construction industry, there's a lot of labor who work on the hourly basis. So there are rules, labor laws set by the government, and we have to follow that. We cannot miss that. So in order to make sure that we are in compliance with the legal regulations, laws, whatever labor laws we have as per the country, we have to follow all of that. And to ensure that we are following all of that, all those standards are being followed, we should have a proper compensation management plan. That's why compensation management is extremely important, and all these objectives can be met easily if we'll plan for compensation, if we'll manage compensation. But if we won't manage it properly, we won't plan for it properly, then definitely we won't be able to control the cost of the organization, because some people will feel that they are not getting paid equally as compared to their colleagues. Some people will be underpaid and some people will be overpaid. and that is something we will never want, because that will be a very bad consequence of a bad compensation management plan. So whoever is there in the HR department, it is their duty to make sure that they are not partial at any point of time, and they are paying the employees based upon their qualification, based upon their performance, and based upon their job duties and seniority. All right. Now let's discuss about principles of compensation management in HRM, or human resource management. So as you can see on the screen, these are some of the points that you should always keep in your mind if you are a part of human resource team, and you should always make sure that you are following it, because these are extremely important when you talk about compensation management within any organization. Point number 1 is ability to pay. Companies should pay their employees as per their financial capabilities. Definitely, if you will have a competitive compensation for the employees, they will be attracted, and people who are already there in the organization, they will be retained. They will feel engaged and motivated because they are getting the monetary or the non-monetary benefits. But at the same time, we cannot forget the ability to pay for the organization. If an organization cannot pay equal to the industry standards or more than the industry standards, they should never do that, because that will definitely be a bad planning. So you have to make sure that whenever you are applying, or you are thinking about the compensation management plan, you have to balance between two things: employee needs, the competition, as well as the ability to pay of the organization. After balancing both these things, only we can decide what exactly will be the compensation for a particular position, for a particular job role. Then internal equity: employees should be paid as per their skills, experience, job responsibilities, qualification, and performance. There should not be any partiality of any type on based on any grounds, because that is extremely important. If we are going to pay different salaries to people who are working for the same role with the same qualification, with same seniority, definitely there will be conflicts, and that's anyways not a good idea. So we have to make sure that there is no partiality, and people are getting paid based upon their performance, skills, knowledge based skills, whatever performance they have shown in particular projects. If there are any incentives based upon a particular plan, all these things should be followed. Then external equity: companies should compensate their employees as per the industry standards. We can't say that, for example, let's say in the e-commerce industry, for a particular role ABC, if the salary is 3 lakhs per annum, we cannot make it 2 lakhs per annum as well, because in that case nobody will be attracted to apply to that particular position. We have to make sure that we are close to the industry standards, and at the same time we are thinking about our ability to pay as an organization as well. Then performance orientation: performance linkage with compensation is extremely important for creating a performance driven work culture. If you study in detail about this, there is a subject called performance management in human resource management, where people are given appraisals and promotions based upon their performance. So that is also managed as a part of compensation planning. Then non-discriminatory: this is something that we have already discussed, that there should not be any discrimination on any grounds. Then simplicity: compensation plan must be simple to design, understand, and implement, because all the people who will be coming in your organization, they will not be very well equipped with all these terms. Let's say taxation, let's say salary part, variable salary, fixed salary. So whatever planning you are doing, whatever management you are doing, you have to make sure that it is simple and easy to understand for a layman also. So all the employees who will be working in your organization, for them it should be very very simple to understand that what exactly is the compensation planning, and how are actually they going to get the monetary or non-monetary benefits out of it. Then last one is legal compliance: relevant laws and regulations must be followed. That is also one important thing when we talk about compensation management, because it is not just internal to the organization. There is competition, there is a government, and it definitely depends upon the laws, rules, and regulations that the government has set for the entire nation. So all those things must be followed too. All right. Now let's try to understand that why is compensation management important. So we have understood each and everything, that what exactly is compensation or compensation management. We have also seen the objectives and principles of compensation management. Now we have to understand what exactly is the importance of compensation management. What will happen if we do not follow the compensation management plan, and if we do not have everything organized when we talk about compensation? What can be the consequences of that? And what are the benefits of having a compensation management plan? All these things we'll be discussing in detail in this particular module. So as you can see on the screen, the first point is increase in employee engagement. As per so many theories, employee engagement is the best thing. There is an happy employee. Now, after the happy employee, there are satisfied employees. But after that, the best one is employee engagement. That means people who are working in your organization will be fully invested in their job, and they will go above and beyond to work for the goals of that particular organization. And that's always a very profitable and a very good situation for any organization. Whoever is working in your organization, any employee in any department, they are working so hard to achieve the goals of the organization, to fulfill the mission and the vision of the organization. In order to compensate for that, you have to give them some monetary or non-monetary benefits. That is your compensation management. So if that proper entire thing will be managed properly, and they will be getting proper compensation for the work that they are doing, and that will be balanced, in that case definitely there will be some increase in employee engagement. Because if they will be getting proper monetary and non-monetary benefits, they will be motivated to work, they will have the driving force, and overall they will be engaged in the job much more. Then increased employer productivity, that is also extremely important. If the employees are not satisfied, they will never be productive, because so many things will be going on in their mind at the same time, and they will not be able to focus on their work. This is a very psychological concept, but it is true. There are so many research and theories done on that. So in order to make sure that the employees are engaged, motivated, and they are feeling productive, they have to get proper monetary and non-monetary benefits and a proper work-life balance, which is also a part of compensation management. Then increase in profitability. Definitely, if the employees are engaged, if they are invested in their job, and overall the profitability will increase, because they are more productive and the things will be done more efficiently and more effectively. Then attracting top talent. So if you have a competitive compensation and you have good plans, let's say you have a good work life balance, the good leaves policies and everything, you can definitely attract the top talent, and you can attract the qualified candidates who can apply to your job, and you can retain them as well with this thing. Then increase in employee retention. So these two are the same points. So if you want to hire new talent, you want to hire qualified talent, in that case also compensation can be a very good tool. And at the same time, if you want to retain the people who are already working in your organization, then also compensation can be a very good tool. Because definitely if one employee is working in your organization, they also need something in return. That can be monetary for some people, for some people it can be non-monetary. It always depends what is the driving force for that particular person. For some people, work is a social identity. For some people, it is nothing but money. For some people, it is a form of social relationships. Every person will have a different perspective about this thing. So we have to make sure that we have a proper compensation management plan in place. We can ensure that all these needs are met to some extent, and we can retain the people who are already working in the organization. So all these things are nothing but the benefits of compensation management. All right. So in this particular module, we will be discussing about the types of compensation in HR or human resource management. So as you can see on the screen, there are two types of compensation. One is your direct compensation and one is your indirect compensation. Now, when we talk about direct compensation, it is a financial form of compensation. The word here is financial. That whatever monetary benefits you are getting from any organization in return of your work, as a counterbalance of your work that you are doing in order to accomplish the objectives of the organization, that is nothing but your direct compensation. It is received directly by the employees from their workplace, and it includes your hourly wages, salaries, commission, bonuses, be it your fixed salary, be it your variable salary, anything which has your monetary benefits, the financial form of compensation, that is nothing but your direct compensation. Now, what is indirect compensation? It is often known as the benefits or perks of the job. Employees don't receive it in the cash form usually or financial form usually, but it has a financial value. It includes health insurance, life insurance, retirement plans, disability insurance, legal insurance, and other non monetary pay offered to employees. You must be knowing, if you are a part of any organization, if you are a fresher or you are still in your college, you must be knowing that whenever you go to any organization, there are two things which you get as a part of compensation. One is the monetary benefits and one is the non-monetary benefits. When you talk about your monetary benefits, that can be hourly wages, the salary, fixed salary, bonuses, sales commission, any other bonuses, that will be nothing but your direct compensation because that is in the financial form. But if you are getting any other benefits, which will not be given to in the form of cash or in the form of monetary benefits, but it will definitely have some financial value. Let's say from your organization, you are getting some leaves. So those leaves definitely have some financial value if you think from the perspective of the organization. So all these benefits and perks are nothing but part of your indirect compensation. And in today's world, especially where things are changing from work from office to work from home, and so many changes and so many flexibilities coming into the picture, we have to make sure that we are not just thinking about the monetary benefits, because for people in today's age, today's world, money is not everything. For a lot of people, they take their work just as money, but for maximum number of people, even if they'll win a lottery of, let's say, crores, they will still continue to work. I am saying this on the basis of a lot of surveys that are done. Why are they still working? Because they do not take their work just as money. They need some other work life balance. They need some social identity. They need to go meet people. That is also some kind of good thing for them and for the organization also at the same time. So we have to make sure that there's a balance between the two things. We are giving them the monetary benefits, and at the same time, we are giving them the non monetary benefits as well. Now, I want to clear this one confusion between base salary versus total compensation. When we talk about salary, that this is my salary per month or this is my CTC for this particular organization in this particular role, that is not entire compensation. It is just a part of compensation. In fact, the part of direct compensation. There are so many other things which are included in compensation. So, base salary is the money paid to employees for their contribution to the organization, or you can say organizational goals, and for performing their jobs. That is your base salary. However, total compensation includes more than just the salary paid to an employee. It covers your base salary, but also the additional benefits and perks you receive as a part of the organization, be it your leaves, be it your health insurance, be it your life insurance, be it your any other kind of insurance, any other kind of leaves, compensatory of maternity leaves, casual leaves, paternity leaves. All these things are also part of total compensation along with your base salary. But when we talk about your base salary, that is most of the times we are referring to the monetary benefits that you are getting per month or per year. So you have to understand that compensation is not just limited to the monetary benefit, it includes non-monetary benefits as well, which are known as your bonuses or maybe your perks and maybe your benefits of the particular job. So you have to understand everything, and accordingly you have to plan, because whatever benefits and perks the employees are getting, those things also hold a financial value. All right. Now let me tell you what exactly is a compensation plan. So as you can see on the screen, compensation planning is the formulation of a compensation strategy that supports the business strategy and the needs of the employees. So whenever you are talking about compensation in general, there are two things that you have to keep in mind. Point number one, employees. Point number two, the organization. There will always be some ability to pay according to the financing and the budgeting of the organization. That is one thing that you should keep in mind. And second thing is that whatever the specified needs of the employees are, those also you have to meet. So there should be a good balance between these two things, the ability to pay for the organization and the specified needs of the employees. And if there is a good balance between these two things, and a proper planning for that is nothing but your compensation plan. That's exactly your business strategy, the compensation strategy. It is a comprehensive strategy for rewarding employees for their efforts and ensuring that they stay with you, that is, they retain, that is nothing but your employee retention, for a longer period of time. If the employees won't be motivated to work because they are not getting, let's say, monetary benefits or non-monetary benefits, and there is no good work-life balance, definitely the employees will not be engaged in their job. In order to make sure that the employees are invested in what they do and they actually love what they do, because they are getting time, they are getting monetary benefits, they're getting non-monetary benefits, and there's a good balance between their life and their work, and whatever they are doing is valuable. So definitely they will be engaged, motivated, and they will retain in the organization for a longer period of time, which is only going to help the organization. Then the full process of deciding on an employee's compensation package, delivering it, and modifying salaries and incentives over time is a part of the compensation plan. So, based upon your performance, based upon your promotions, whatever increments you are getting, let's say yearly you are getting some hike. Now, planning for that, plotting for that, how to calculate your performance, what will be the metrics for that, KPIs, KPRs for that, all those things are also should be part of your compensation planning, compensation management plan. Then a compensation element must include the strategy and performance measures. As I was telling you, there are two things that you should keep in mind. Number one, the strategy, how are you going to pay, and the performance measures as well, that what will be the KPIs, how are you going to measure the performance, and based upon those KPIs, key performance indicators, how are you going to calculate the bonuses, the commissions, the variable, all those things should be there, and it should be easy to understand, not just for the HR department but also for the employees of the organization. Now, what are the steps to formulate a compensation plan? There are 5 steps that I have mentioned over here. Number one is the incentives should be aligned with the organizational objectives. There should be proper guidance that the employees should get, and they should know that okay, this is something that they're going to get if they'll achieve this much. So that clarity should be there, and should definitely be aligned with the organizational objectives. Then determine the mode of payment. How are you going to make the payment, what will be the processing, what will be the accounts team doing in that, all of that should be there, should be properly planned. Then ensure the laws and regulations are being followed. Whatever laws and regulations are there, specific to the country or maybe specific to that particular job, those must be followed. Then keep the company's budget and market raises in mind. Whatever inflation is there, whatever taxation is there, whatever the budgeting of the company is there, whatever is the ability of the company to pay is there, all those things should be there. And keeping all that in mind, you have to develop the plan. Then inclusion of other benefits also. It's not just the monetary benefits, it's also the leaves, the vacations you are getting, anything other than that, the let's say your reimbursement of the mobile or the internet bill. All of these will also hold some financial value, and that should also be calculated, and that should also be kept in the mind, because those are two things which are part of compensation, the direct and the indirect compensation. And based upon that, one person is actually the counterbalance is done for the employee of the organization. They are paid for their work, not just in terms of monetary benefits but also in terms of non-monetary benefits. All right, so now that you have understood the basics of compensation management, it is time for you to understand more about compensation management process. So when you talk about compensation management, how a plan is developed, what are the different steps in that, and how do we go about it? That is something we will be exploring in this particular module. So as you can see on the screen, I have written 5 steps in order to develop a compensation management plan, which moves from job analysis to job evaluation to development of pay structure to pricing of the job, and then finally compensation revision and control. So first of all, you have to analyze the job, that this is the requirement for these particular skills in this particular team. Being in the HR department, this will be your work. Once the analysis is done, then you evaluate the job, that what exactly will be the roles and responsibilities of the person who will fill this particular job vacancy. That is done. Once that is done, then you see the market through external channels, internal channels, you see the competition, what exactly is the salary for that particular role, that particular responsibility person in the other organizations within the same industry. Once that is done, then you develop the pay structure, that according to the competition, this is the pay structure for this particular role. So you have to decide whether you want to go above that, you want to go below that, what are the non-monetary benefits according to your planning, your ability to pay as an organization. You have to develop the pay structure. Once that is done, then the pricing of the job, and finally compensation revision and control. Because when you talk about compensation, it is not that once a CTC is decided, once the monetary and the non-monetary benefits are decided, there will be no revision in that. Based upon the employee engagement, employee satisfaction, based upon the different situations. For example, in today's world, each and everything is changing from work from office to work from home. There are so many changes that we have to see on everyday basis, being a part of the corporate world. So all these things should also be considered, and they should be also change management. Like, you have to understand the change and you have to adapt according to that. So based upon the satisfaction level, the motivation level of the organization, the success rate of the organization, the success rate of the projects that the organization is handling, based upon all those things, there can be revisions and there can be control of the compensation as well. But eventually the main goal is to make sure that nobody is underpaid, nobody is overpaid, and we are not crossing the organization's ability to pay. If the ability to pay for an organization is 5 lakhs for a particular position, we cannot go at 6 lakhs, because that will not be a great idea. If you want to compensate with that, maybe you will try to have something else in order to motivate, in order to engage the employees. But you always have to keep all these things in mind, because more the options you will have, more better will be your compensation management plan that you will be following in order to compensate the employees of the organization. All right. Now let's discuss what exactly are the challenges of compensation management. As you can see on the screen, challenge number one is low human resources budget. So generally now things have changed, but initially there was very less budgets for human resource department. That can be definitely one issue, because if there will be less budget, then definitely we cannot meet the competition, we cannot meet the industry standards. It will be very tough for us to attract the crowd or to retain the employees that are already working in the organization. So that is one important challenge, low human resources budget. Then unstructured incentive pay. It is very complex. Deciding that what exactly will be the financial value of the non-monetary benefits, and then deciding it for each and every person, for each and every position, for their performance, is very, very complex task. So that is one challenge, that most of the times it's very unorganized and very unstructured. The HR department needs digitization in that, because the human mind can make a lot of errors in this situation. Then gaps in employee expectations. Whatever the company is paying, be it non-monetary or monetary, the expectations of the employees can be different. Maybe their specified needs are different. And if there is a gap between the needs of the employees and the ability to pay for the organization, definitely it will be a mismatch and the employees will not feel very engaged. So that is also one important challenge. The lack of digitization. As I was telling you, there are chances that when you are handling so many complex data, there are chances of errors. So definitely there should be some digitization. You can use certain tools, certain techniques. These days in market, so many tools, techniques, softwares are there, with the help of which you can have a compensation management plan, and you can do all of that with the help of the digital world. But in so many organizations there is lack of digitization, which is one great challenge in compensation management. Then staying current in a changing market. As we were discussing in the previous module as well, that in today's world each and everything is changing, and we have to be adaptable. We can't do anything about it. Initially we used to work from office, now we are working from home. In general, each and everything is going to change on everyday basis in today's world, in today's age. But we cannot be irrelevant. We have to be relevant at all points of time, and we have to be current in this changing world, in this changing market. So that is very, very important and very big challenge. So for that we have to have proper change management in place. In compensation management too, we have to make sure that even if the market is changing, even if the specified needs of the employees are changing, everything is going to change, but you should have a proper planning in place so that you can meet the specified needs, and you can make sure that you are attracting the crowd, you are attracting the qualified candidates, the top talent, and at the same time you are retaining the candidates who are working in your organization. They should also feel valued, engaged, and motivated to do the work in order to accomplish the goals of the organization. All right, now let's discuss about executive compensation and how it is different from the regular compensation. As you can see on the screen, what is executive compensation? Executive compensation refers to companies' reward packages for business leaders, senior management, and executive level personnel. That is the only difference. Salary, perks, bonuses, and insurance are all part of executive remuneration or executive compensation. It is basically the reward packages for business leaders, the senior management or the executive level personnel. Now, how is executive compensation different from other compensation? Point number one is there are offered benefit alternatives or options available to executives that are not available to lower class employees. For example, let's say due to some work and you have to go to some other place. Let's say you have two offices in India, one is in city A, one is in city B, and you have to go from city A to city B regarding your work. So if you are not in the senior management, maybe you will get a normal flight ticket. But if you are in the senior management, you may get a first class or a business class flight ticket. So these small benefits, small things can be there, which comes under your executive compensation. Then executive compensation is subjected to greater scrutiny both publicly and legally. That is a given because definitely if you are getting more benefits, the scrutiny along with that is also going to increase publicly as well as legally. Then there are new tax concerns to be considered for executive compensation. So when you talk about the general regular compensation, it is same for all the employees of the organization. But if you talk about senior management, the taxation will be a little different than the regular compensation. This is a small difference between regular compensation and executive compensation. To understand it in the simplest words, you can just say that when you use the term compensation, that is for regular employees who are working in order to accomplish the goals of the organization. But when you talk about executive compensation, the word executive is for executive level personnel or senior management or business leaders. Whatever compensation plan that is developed for them, that comes under executive compensation. All right. So now we have reached to the end of this course, that is the summary part. Now I am very sure that you have understood each and everything that we have discussed in this particular course about compensation management. We started with the definition of compensation, where we understood that it is nothing but a counterbalance. We have to make sure that whatever employees are working towards, whatever goals they are trying to achieve for the organization, we have to counterbalance that by giving them some monetary or non-monetary benefits. Then we also cleared the confusion that base salary is not equal to your total compensation. Base salary is definitely a part of total compensation, but along with the base salary, there are some perks and benefits also that the employees can get. And whenever you're talking about compensation, it will always include two things: your direct compensation, that is the monetary benefits or the financial form, and the indirect compensation as well, which is the non-monetary benefits, which definitely hold some financial values. So if you talk about direct compensation, that includes your hourly wages, salary, bonuses, commission, sales commission, everything will be a part of that. If you talk about indirect compensation, then your leaves, your maternity leaves, paternity leaves, casual leaves, your insurances, life insurance, health insurance, all of that will be part of indirect compensation. We have to make sure that whenever we are dealing with employees, in order to make sure that they are fully engaged in their job, they are fully invested in their job, we should have a proper compensation plan. Because if we won't have proper compensation management, and let's say there is some partiality or people are not getting paid for their responsibilities, for their position, for their qualifications, they can feel demotivated, and it will be very hard for you being in the HR department to retain those people. So in order to make sure that you attract the qualified crowd, you attract the top talent, and at the same time you retain the people who are already there in your organization, you have to have a competitive compensation plan for that. We have to keep two things in mind whenever you are developing a compensation plan. Number one, the ability to pay for the organization. And number two, the specified needs of the employees. There should be a good balance between these two things. So I hope you have understood all these things. Thank you so much for attending this session.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any query or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.